Weight Loss with Plants, brought to you by the Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. I'm your host, Sharme Ridley. For anyone who struggles years with weight loss challenges, that alone is a monumental battle. Coupling this with a life-changing illness, the average person could easily feel defeated. Our next guest is a living testament to taking control over her health. Please welcome Kelly Houseman. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Kelly.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Let's start by your telling us, how long have you struggled with weight loss issues?
Most of my life, I would say. Well, I can't say most of my life. I would say definitely since I finished college. I was a competitive athlete through the early parts of my life, including college. I played ice hockey. And then when I graduated college, I stopped working out all the time. I mean, it was a lot of physical activity. And at that point, graduating college, being a poor, starving, recent college graduate, you don't have a lot of food for money or money for food and, gym memberships and things like that. So it was a struggle, I would say, once I graduated college. It was easy to buy the cheap processed food because that's all you could afford at the time. And then the weight got put on. I wasn't exercising and I was eating bad food.
Right. And then,
so that's when it started.
And you learned about plant-based eating a long time ago, even before you began seeing some success. Tell us about when you first learned and tell us that story.
Okay. Probably the first time I really read anything that opened my eyes to it was a Jane Goodall book. I want to say it was probably 2005, 2006, around there. That kind of opened my eyes to the whole organic food and that nutrition is important and processed food is not important.
And you had found some success along the way as far as your weight loss is concerned, a success that started and then ended up not being successful. Tell us about that journey.
Right. Okay. So I would say around 2006, 2005. It was shortly after I read the Jane Goodall book. It was called Harvest for Hope. I remember that. That kind of opened my eyes to the whole organic food system and kind of the environmental impact of commercial farming and things like that. I had been seeing a chiropractor for some back pain back then, and he started talking to me about the power of nutrition and that it can help me feel better and in the process could help me lose some weight. And he turned me on to the China Study book, which had recently come out, and he encouraged me to read it. I read it. I made the realization that makes a lot of sense. And so I started making some changes on my own to my diet. And then throughout the years, I'd come and go from being plant-based and not being plant-based. So my weight went up and down. I also tried other diet programs, but ultimately the plant-based way of eating is what made me feel the best. And it would definitely have an impact on how I felt. I would lose weight. My acid reflux would go away. My blood pressure would come down, all these wonderful things. And then something would happen and I would fall off the wagon, so to speak, and start eating bad food again, processed food, high sugar, high fat, things like that. So I've seen it work over the years. And at one point, probably 4 years ago, I did it for 6 months. And at that point, that was the longest time I'd done it, but I lost 50 pounds. I felt great. And that was the end of the 6-month period is probably leading up into the holidays. It was around November. I remember it because I started making holiday cookies and started eating those holiday cookies, and they're loaded with fat and sugar. And next thing you know, I'm done with the plant-based food and back onto the bad foods.
Right.
Sugar is a big trigger for me, and I know that. And I just didn't have the willpower to get back on the wagon.
And
So
until that point, your biggest concern was the weight, as far
right.
as wanting to follow a plant-based diet. But then something else came into your life that made you look at this again. Tell us about that.
Yep. Fast forward to 2018. June of 2018, I felt a lump in my left breast. So at my annual OBGYN visit, which was in June, I mentioned it to my doctor, and she couldn't feel anything, but she recommended that I go get imaging, which I was scheduled for my mammogram anyway. Nothing showed up on the mammogram. It was clear. But meanwhile, she had encouraged me to consult with a breast specialist, even if it came back clear. And I did that. I was able to be seen pretty quickly, and she sent me for more detailed imaging, which immediately found a spot that was cancerous in my breast. So breast cancer, boom. So luckily that was caught early. It seemed like a very easy case. I had a lumpectomy surgery and then followed by radiation, and then was put on hormone therapy to keep it from coming back. So within a 6-month period, I went through all that. In December of 2018, I finished radiation. They said, you're clear to go live your life. You should be fine. Fast forward again to 2020, summer of 2020, June. I had been experiencing some back pain, and, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I had been sitting around a lot more because I wasn't going into the office. I had been eating more, mostly comfort food, which was an emotional comfort, but not a physical comfort because it was making me feel worse. But still, it was, more sitting around like everybody else during COVID. You're sitting on the couch watching Netflix or whatever and eating whatever you could because, nobody wanted to go out of the house. Nobody, everybody was scared. It had an emotional impact on us. So that contributed to the desire to just stay home and avoid people. And anyway, the weight kept creeping up and my back pain wasn't going away. And I wasn't able to be physically active because of the back pain. So in June, I had my annual physical with my doctor and mentioned the back pain to him. And I was figuring he'd send me to physical therapy, but instead he suggested we get an x-ray. So I'd go for an x-ray and find out that my cancer had spread. They could see it on the x-ray. It had appeared in my spine. So right away, I went back to the cancer center where I'd been treated for my first breast cancer, and they did imaging, and lo and behold, I had it head to toe in all my bones, from literally my cheekbones all the way down. I was a pretty hot mess. I had a couple fractures in my sacrum, a cracked rib, and I was in a lot of pain. I was miserable. So that diagnosis is devastating. It's now stage 4. It's terminal. It's metastatic breast cancer. There's no cure for those that don't know. So I went home with that and sat and tried to get that out of my mind that, okay, now I have a terminal disease. I'm in bad shape. I'm overweight. I'm in a lot of pain. So that weighed heavily on my mind. It took a couple months to really absorb the whole diagnosis, but immediately I realized I've got to change my life. And I did. Immediately I stopped with the processed food. I stopped with the sugar, stopped with the high fat. I went immediately to plant-based. That lasted about 2 weeks. And I felt better within that 2 weeks, amazingly. But the doctor said, eat what you want to eat. I didn't have that motivation to make that change yet. Mentally, I wasn't in that place, and I didn't have a doctor there to tell me that the right thing to do would be to go plant-based. So a few more months pass, and I kept slipping more into a darker place. My mind was fully consumed with the thought of death. This disease can take you in weeks or months, or it could be years. And that's part of the problem with living with this disease, is you just don't know. So I was kind of in a state of shock for months.
But then something serendipitous happened for you.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. I was at a really dark place when I heard about a study that was being done in Rochester, New York. I'm in Buffalo, New York, so it's about an hour away. And this study was a nutrition study, whole food, plant-based nutrition study. So that piqued my interest because I knew that's what I needed. That's what I needed to do. And as I learned more about it, I realized, oh my gosh, it's Thomas Campbell, Dr. Thomas Campbell. I've been in and out of the whole food plant-based world for a number of years, so I knew who Dr. Thomas Campbell was. He helped write the China study, and he's part of the Campbell family. So the fact that he was running this study in Rochester, which was a little distance but not unrealistic, I applied to participate in the study. He was looking for specifically metastatic breast cancer patients that were currently in treatment, and I applied and got accepted to the study. So I was lucky enough to be put in the intervention group, which meant for 8 weeks, unfortunately it was a short study, but for 8 weeks, they provided me with 3 meals a day of whole food plant-based meals prepared by a chef. So that alone was huge because I didn't have to worry about cooking. It took that pressure off of me. I didn't have to buy the food. I didn't have to prepare the food. Everything was provided for me. I could supplement with my own snacks that, as long as they were on plan, they were fine.
And how did you feel when you first walked into that study? What was your state like? As far as physical? Tell us
Physical,
about that.
I was a mess at that point because I had continued to gain a little bit of weight more because I still couldn't exercise. The side effects from the medications that I was on, they wreak havoc on you. They're very toxic. I wasn't on an IV chemo, but I take an oral chemo plus some other medications to help keep my hormones in balance. So because my cancer is hormone driven, so we need to shut down the estrogen. So that causes some side effects too. So that plus the pain I was in, I didn't have a lot of mobility. I could still walk, but it wasn't comfortable for me to walk. So when I walked into that study, I was desperate for help. I really needed to be there. And in addition to the meals of this study, you're provided with incredible support. They provide you with education. You have a weekly call with Dr. Campbell. And also his wife, Dr. Erin Campbell, was also involved in helping with this study and education and support. So to have both of those doctors providing a huge amount of support with the calls, the follow-up, there's emails, there's phone calls, there's Zoom calls. The chef was also available to consult with recipes or questions about what we're eating. It was just a wonderful experience, and I learned a lot. And in addition to all that, they provided some extra testing, like scans and blood work and things. So for 8 weeks, I ate nothing but whole food plant-based.
Right.
At the end of the 8 weeks, I had lost close to 30 pounds. My BMI had dropped several points. My blood pressure was almost normal. It was getting close, but it had come down. So that was a medication that I was really looking to get rid of. And I'm very close to that because it's been cut in half twice and I'm on the home stretch now. So another week or two, if I can keep it in normal range, I can eliminate another medication. I was sleeping better. My energy was through the roof, like just night and day.
And the pain?
So the pain was so much better. I could walk. I dropped the weight, which helped a lot. But picture, at the beginning, I started it on March 12th of 2021. I could hardly walk up the stairs. I had to hold both sides of the walls walking up the stairs, hold the railing, and literally, kind of pull myself up the stairs. Now I can go up and down the stairs without even holding the railing. I'm at work today right now, and I went up and I'm on the second floor. So I went up and I used the stairs today, 3 or 4 times already. A few months ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
That's amazing.
So it is amazing. So participating in that study was a game changer for me. I was committed, I was motivated, and it was perfect timing. I had like a perfect storm brewing in my body, starting back during the summer of 2020 when I had that diagnosis. I was just, it was a bad situation. By the end of the study, which was in mid-May, I was a new person. I was a different person. My attitude was better. My motivation was better. I could think more clearly.
And you also enrolled in the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies plant-based nutrition course, right?
Yes, not quite yet, but soon after the program, after the study ended. I was so consumed with learning as much as I could about the benefits of this lifestyle. I'm like, I got to take that class. I've heard so many people have success and enjoy that class and learn so much from it. I'm like, I got to take it because I love sharing my story. I love talking to other people about, my journey, how it's helped me, and, maybe it can help other people.
What is the biggest takeaway that you can give us from having taken that course?
That course was, even though I've watched a lot of documentaries, I've read a lot of books, which is all reinforced in that program, and then some. I learned so much more through taking that program, and it just reinforced everything. And it was, I would recommend it to anybody that is curious about this lifestyle and the benefits that can be achieved by making this lifestyle change. It was a great experience, and I consider myself lucky to be able to have taken that class.
Now, tell us how important support is to you, because I know that shortly after leaving the program, the study, you lucked upon a situation that offered you support. Tell us about that.
Yes. As awful as this whole disease has been, it's funny how the timing of certain things have really fallen into place. So I ended the study mid-May, and when that study ended, I'm like, oh, now I'm going to lose all this great support. I'm losing the doctors because the Campbells don't have the time to hold my hand now after the study ended. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had already been part of a couple groups on social media that were helpful, but it wasn't really the support I needed. I needed a little more active involvement. So I was doing some research, and I came across Chef Dell's Diet Daze group. And I'm like, Chef Dell? Everybody knows Chef Dell. I know who he is. And I have a couple of his cookbooks. And so I read a little bit more about the group, and then I saw it was affiliated with the Center for Nutrition Studies. I'm like, jackpot. I know the Center for Nutrition Studies. That's one of my sources that I go to for information. And that's who the plant-based course I took was through. So I requested to join the group, and got accepted, and I soon realized that they were about ready to launch a weight loss challenge for about 3 weeks. I think it was 20 days. And it was right around the time I ended the study, so it was perfect. It was a great transition for me. I was able to sign up for the study and stay on track. So the study, I set a goal to lose like 5 pounds during the study or the challenge, and met that goal, which is great. But throughout the study or the challenge, I met some wonderful people that had the same goal. They were all there to support each other and maybe lose some weight. But it was very supportive, and to be able to have that support and encouragement from others was huge, and just the accountability too. They offered a weekly check-in by Zoom call. So you actually had, face-to-face meetings on Zoom. I think there were a couple a week because of the time zone. So I was on the calls at least once a week, and just that extra support by having the Zoom call, that really helps keep you on track, because you have to, you're a little more accountable for yourself. But it was an easy and safe place to share your successes and your challenges, and it was a safe, non-judgmental group, and it was great. I'm so glad I found it.
And so tell us about some of your successes now.
Where do you want me to start?
Anywhere you want.
Okay, so March 12th was my start date of full conversion to this lifestyle. So I've lost 60 pounds. I've gone from about 10 different medications and supplements down to 4. One of which is the blood pressure medicine that I expect to be off for the next, I would say, 2 weeks. And the others are cancer related that I'll be on until they stop working, and then they'll give me something else. So my blood pressure is normal. My resting heart rate has come down to normal. Before I changed this diet, my resting heart rate was like 90 and over 100. And now it's in the 70s consistently. What else has changed? My BMI is down 10 points.
Wow.
Yeah, at the beginning of the study, I also had physical restrictions from my cancer doctors. I wasn't allowed to do certain activities. I couldn't lift heavy weights. I couldn't do any impact exercises. I had to be very careful. Now I'm pretty unrestricted. I just have to be careful about doing anything that would be a risk of falling, because my bones are affected by the cancer. So I can ride a stationary bike, but I can't ride a regular bike, for example. But now I have my mobility back. Not completely, but much better. So I'm in a much better place. So I'm able to exercise again. That's huge. I mean, that's I'm happy about that.
Now, how difficult is it for you to stay on the plan, especially in social situations?
Well, when until about 6 weeks ago, I was the only one in my household that ate this way. So starting within my own house, it was quite a challenge. During the study, I was eating my food, but I still had to cook meals for the rest of my family, who ate meat and dairy. So that was a challenge. But I'm happy to report in the last 6 weeks, my husband and the 2 adult children that live at home have decided that my meals look a little bit better than theirs have been looking. So they've been eating my dinners, which is awesome, because that makes it a lot easier to prepare my meals, and it doesn't take me as much time. I was cooking 2 meals before. Now I'm only cooking 1. So they're enjoying it. We're all having fun with it. And that's good. So outside of the home, I don't go out to eat much at all anymore. And part of that was because of COVID, and now because it's hard to find places that I want to eat at, that have a menu that I'll be happy about. I don't want to go to a restaurant that's going to serve me food that's loaded with salt and butter and everything else that they do to make it taste better. So outside the home, it hasn't been difficult because I haven't been partaking in that, with the exception of going to movies. I am a sucker for movie popcorn, but I don't get anything added to it. That's my one little vice. But anyway, I'm about to take a trip next week. I'm traveling by car. I'm driving for about a week. So that's going to be a challenge, but mentally I'm preparing, and I'm preparing some foods to bring with me. My breakfast will all be covered. So it'll just be kind of lunches and dinners that I'll have to worry about. But I I think we can find some decent options.
How did you learn to cook this way? I know that you've sought some support in that respect as well. Tell us about that, because some people have no idea how to
Right,
begin.
right. Again, it comes back to social media, I would say. There are plenty of groups out there that are supportive of the plant-based lifestyle. And some are better than others. Some still use oil or some sugars, and some are very judgmental. So you just have to search around and find ones that work for you. But there's a couple of places or websites that offer meal plans. Some are subscriptions, some are free trials. So you gotta look around again and see what works for you. But I have found one that I enjoy that provides me each week with a week's worth of recipes, a shopping list, instructions on preparing it, and then I do a batch on Saturday or Sunday. I'll spend a few hours preparing all my dinners, most of the components for the meals for the whole week. So the only thing I'll need to do is finish, I might have to make a salad or heat something up and put all the components together during the week, but it saves a lot of time during the week. So, it's an investment of a few hours on a weekend, but that's an investment in my health, which I've made a priority. I've just incorporated it into my routine now. So right now it works for me. I'm spending time on the weekends preparing the meals. It saves me time during the week, and I know that I have good, healthy food waiting for me when I come home. So if I get tied up at work or I have errands to do, I'm not tempted to eat junk when I'm out or go through a drive-through, anything like that. I have everything prepared and ready to go at home.
Right.
So that's working for me. It's not for everybody because not everybody wants to give up a few hours on a weekend. But when you look at how much time you spend during the week cooking, it works for me right now.
Now, as far as your doctor's concerned, any responses from your doctor as far as your improvement?
I'm going to say it depends on the doctor. Obviously, the Campbells are happy that I've had such success because they know this works. They see it all the time with people that make this change. Unfortunately, my cancer center, although they're okay with me doing the plant-based diet, they don't really offer the support. They don't, they'll say, okay, that's great. You want to try it? Go ahead. But that's it. You walk out the door and you're on your own. And same with my primary care physician. He's very supportive of it. But again, there's no support. They'll say, oh, if you want to try it, go ahead. But then again, you're on your own. It's really unfortunate and sad that our healthcare system has that mentality. And, especially at my cancer center, they would rather prescribe me a pill than prescribe me a healthy diet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. Every time I'm there, they're always looking to prescribe me something, whether it be for my pain, to help me sleep. Back when I was having the acid reflux, for the acid reflux, they're quick to prescribe anything to help the side effects of the medication that I need to take for the cancer. So in my mind, in my attitude, I don't want that. I want to investigate other alternatives first before I have to take another toxic medication. I'm on enough toxic medication. I don't need more. And, within a few weeks of changing my diet, I didn't need the acid reflux medication anymore. I'm already just about done with the blood pressure medicine. Medication to help me sleep or help with the pain. I don't need any of that. I can do all that on my own. And the fact that I'm able to do that just by changing my diet and lifestyle is huge. And it's a shame that doctors don't see that and look at it. I know there's some out there, but they're hard to find. Right. And especially at the cancer center, I find it very sad that they do not stress that more. And I'm sure that there are doctors out there that do. but I don't have that right now. And
Right.
we all know that med school training doesn't offer the nutrition training that they need. And kudos to all the doctors and nurses that are out there getting education on their own to supplement that and learn more about it and help their patients with it. But shame on all the schools that don't provide that as part of the normal process.
Yeah.
I think that doctors need to learn that food and nutrition is as powerful as prescribing a medication.
Yes.
And until they realize that and learn more about it, they're going to push the pharmaceuticals, and it's a shame.
Right. Now, you wrote an article that was published on the Center for Nutrition Studies
Mm-hmm.
website. And in that article, you made a statement, and I want to read it. It says, "The most important thing I've learned is that it is so empowering to feel some control over my health. I can't
Yeah,
control the cancer in my body, but I can control the food that I eat." Elaborate on that for us.
I love that. I feel empowered now. 6 months ago, talking to me would have been, I would probably be in tears. I was at a very bad place, and um, changing my diet caused so many positive things for me, mentally, physically. I feel so much better. I feel like a normal human being. I can move more. I can sleep better. My energy's better. I just have such a better mindset. And the only thing that I changed is my lifestyle, my diet. And that's powerful. Just knowing that I made those changes by making a choice about what food I put in my body. And it's night and day how I am now to how I was 6 months ago.
If you could give someone advice who's facing not just having to lose weight, because that's monumental in itself, but
Hmm.
also having to face a some type of a disease, what kind of advice would you give them as far as nutrition is concerned?
Um, I would tell them that take a look at what you eat. Um, it's not going to cure my cancer. I know that, but it has helped me in so many ways. There's hope. There's things that can be done to make yourself feel better. Some of these diseases are manageable and reversible with proper diet. Look at diabetes. Look at heart disease. The science and evidence is there that this change in diet will, in many cases, reverse it or stop it from progressing. And and that's huge. So if someone is faced with a diagnosis, whether it's cancer, diabetes, heart disease, or whatever, um, don't look at it as a death sentence. Look at it as an opportunity to look at your life and see what you can do to make it better. Um, I did that. It's hard to do on your own, but there's support out there. You just have to find it. Um, I don't know what else I can say about it. It's so powerful, and I wish everybody had that opportunity to have the support to make that change if they wanted to try it and make the change. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt. Taking medicine or more medication, there's side effects, there's cost. Changing your diet, what do you have to lose? I mean, there's no side effects. It's not, if you lose weight, unless you're in a situation where you need to gain weight to be healthier, most of us are the opposite and need to lose weight. But if you're overweight and you have one of these diagnoses, it's only going to help you.
And you're down 60 pounds already, and that is
Yeah,
so exciting.
it is. It really is. And I have more to go, but I'm looking forward to getting there, and it also gives me hope that I will get there. It gives me a good goal to shoot for, and I'm not focusing on the cancer right now. That's key. I mean, I'm trying to live my life and find joy in everything, and it's been a good journey.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know that what you have said will inspire so many people.
I hope so. Thank you for having me.